3 critical, and 3 still working to ascertain their condition right now. We're waiting to get our reporters in place. Do we have an update on our team, guys? Okay. All right, everyone watching on broadcast TV on the CW30 and ABC4, this is Brian McElhatton reporting from the Stream Center in the ABC4 newsroom. For those of you who are just joining us on the broadcast side, we've been streaming breaking news coverage of a mass shooting at an LDS chapel in Salt Lake City. This is Redwood Road at 700 North, 660 Redwood Road is the address. And we heard from police spokesperson Glenn Mills a short time ago, and here's what we know. There was a funeral happening at this LDS chapel at the time of this shooting. There was some kind of a fight or an argument that broke out in the parking lot outside of the chapel that led to shots being fired. All said and done, there were 8 victims tonight. 2 of them are dead. 3 of them are in critical condition at the hospital. And 3 more, police are still trying to figure out what their condition is because they weren't taken to the hospital in an ambulance. They were taken to a hospital in a private car or perhaps a police car. And so that causes a delay in understanding what their condition is at the time because police have to track those people down, stay in touch with the doctors and the hospitals, and then that information gets passed up to us. So 8 victims right now, 2 of them dead, 3 critical, and 3 more we are waiting to hear. 8 victims in all. Who did this? Why did they do that? That's the question police are trying to figure out right now. We know there is at least one suspect here who took off in a car, and police are trying to track them down right now. And no doubt they're going to use cameras like this one, this UDOT camera. They're at intersections across the city and across the state, and police can use these cameras to follow cars as they move through intersections and as they move through the state. And so police no doubt are watching those cameras closely to try to figure out where this car went. Do we have one suspect? Do we have several? That is still unclear tonight, but we do know of at least one person who took off. One of the reporters at the scene asked Salt Lake Police if there was an ongoing threat to the community. And the spokesperson, Glenn Mills, thought about it for a second and said what is true, and that is, in a situation like this, someone who is willing to open fire at a church is no doubt a danger to the community. Do they believe this person has other intentions tonight? Likely not. This was an event that happened at this particular location, at this particular church, and the suspect fled. So the manhunt is underway right now after those 8 people were shot outside the LDS church on Redwood Road. 660 Redwood Road is the address, by the way. And going forward tonight, you've got a big stretch of Redwood Road that is closed down at this point in time. So if you're heading that way, you're going to want to obviously avoid the area. Now, as for our journalist on the scene, our Mackenzie Diaz is there, our Jordan Tracy is there. We are trying to get them set up and get them in front of a camera right now so that they can give you some reports from street level. I'm eager to do that because I want to know what they are seeing and what they are hearing from the folks they are talking to. We're doing some audio checks with them right now, and as soon as we can get them up, we are going to bring them to you live here on the air as police search for the person who opened fire outside of an LDS chapel during a funeral of all things, shooting 8 people, killing 2 of them, 3 others in critical condition, and 3 more being treated. We understand their exact circumstances, their conditions unknown at this point. We are working to get that information for you right now. But you'll notice some police officers leaving the scene here. That can be an indication of a couple of things. One, it's an indication that the threat level has diminished. Police don't believe this person is in the area. That's a good thing. 2, it could mean that police are going to another scene. Maybe they've identified a suspect and they're going over there to their place of residence. their place of work or the place where they may be going. Police are working all of their leads right now to try to figure out who did this. They're going to use all the tools at their disposal. This is the number one priority in the city and the state right now, is to track down the person or the people who did this. They'll look at cell phone data. They'll look at the cameras. Utah has a vast network of traffic cameras where police can follow vehicles as they move through an area, really all across the state. And that's what police are doing right now to try to figure out who this person is. And let's not underestimate the value of witness statements. Unclear how many people were at this funeral at the time, but that's a lot of people who saw something, who heard something, and can give police a better idea of what happened. They may even know the person who opened fire, and if that's the case, police likely already have their name, already moving in to intercept that person and to go to their home and other places where they are known to frequent to be ready for them. I understand we're trying to get Mackenzie Diaz on the line right now. She has been there since this thing began, talking to folks and gathering witnesses. And I'd like to go to reporters who are on the scene because they can fill in some blanks for us. They can give us an idea of what it's like street level, what the police are saying, what witnesses are saying. There are a number of businesses in this area too. There's a McDonald's, there's a gas station they're able to make contact with and talk to. We want to hear from those folks. But yes, this is a quiet, what should have been a quiet Wednesday night.
It was outside because we were just inside with the viewing, the funeral.
Okay. Were there a lot of people here for tonight's event?
Yes.
Okay. And who was tonight's event for?
It's for a guy named Asi Sekona. Passed away, but he's the member of our ward here, and he's just viewing here and going to be taken to California tomorrow. That's for burial.
You heard what happened outside. Did you see anything else?
No.
What else took place here? Because there's a pretty big police response for whatever took place here tonight.
I have no idea what was going on. While we were sitting there, it was just shooting. Everybody was just saying they're shooting outside, but gosh, I was scared. So that's all I know.
And you heard gunshots?
Yeah. Nope.
Just the screaming?
Yeah, just the screaming. That was it.
Your first name, ma'am?
Liliani.
Can you spell it for me real quick?
Liliani.
Daniel, any questions?
Liliani, I saw children in there. I saw lots of different people. What did you do when you were in the building? Did they move the children? What did they do?
They just wanted the children to come inside. Yeah, and not outside. They just have everybody bring their kids inside and let them stay inside with us.
Are you relieved that none of this commotion got inside in
I'm
a way?
so relieved. I want to go home to my kids and my grandkids.
What do you tell them about what happened tonight? How do you talk to them about this?
Gosh, I have no idea. It's pretty scary. It's this is my first time thing that ever happened, and that I've seen with, it's pretty scary. I'm still stunned.
I see you composed. How do you keep that composure when something like this happens?
You know what? I don't know. I'm just relieved that I come out safe. I don't want my kids to worry because I know they're watching the news and everything. So I want them to know that I'm safe and I'm gonna be walking home and hopefully nobody's over. No, just kidding. But yeah, but that's all I can tell you.
There was a young woman here who looked like she was trying to find somebody who was missing, who might have been shot.
Oh.
When I tell you that, how does that make your heart feel?
So sad. So sad because when I heard the gunshot, my heart ached, Could have been one of my kids, But it's just, I don't know. I'm very scared that I'm going to have to walk home and leave my car here. I didn't know it was that big until I got here and see all these cars. Pretty scary.
Thank you. I'm glad you're safe.
Gosh, thank you.
Look at all these cars.
This is the interview that Brian Schnee was able to get. That was a woman who was inside the church at the time that the shooting broke out outside. She said she didn't hear the gunshots, but she heard people screaming out in the parking lot. We also didn't talk a whole lot about the suspect or suspects who are still on the run tonight. Police said they did get some pretty good leads on the car, and they have tips and other leads that have been coming in of people that may have known the suspects. So one of their big things now is to try to find whoever was responsible for this tonight, and they do have a lot of officers out getting information and looking. So, but we just want to make sure you know that the shooter has not been caught yet tonight.
And they also say that there are some people who may not be able to get access to their homes because of the police presence and the perimeter that they have set up for the investigation. And this area stretches from 500 North to 700 North Redwood Road, extending to the Jordan River. One of the big questions here is with this fight that broke outside of a chapel, it was outside of a chapel of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. There was a funeral, a viewing that was going on inside of the chapel at the time. It's not clear if this was gang-related or if there may have been people that may have been coming for this viewing and somehow got into a fight with some folks outside of the chapel. That's still unclear at this time. It's not clear if there are one or multiple suspects in this particular shooting, but we do know that there are multiple victims in the shooting taken to the hospital. Police have not confirmed if there are more people that are potentially shooting victims simply because some of the victims were taken by private vehicles to the hospitals. They're working to get that information. We have multiple crews that are on the scene right now also gathering information as far as what they heard, what did they see, how do they feel. All of that we are gathering. Also, we have retired police officer Chris Bertram, who is also joining us by Zoom right now. We're going to go ahead and turn our attention to him to get his perspective on this particular scene, what it takes for officers to gather information of this magnitude in order to figure out who's responsible for this and how to move forward. Chris, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Thank you for joining us. What are your thoughts looking at this, getting the information? What are officers doing at this point?
Again, Salt Lake City has a lot of resources that they can pour at this. Because it's occurring at a church, I think it's going to bring out a lot of their, all hands on deck situation. And I think that when they find who is involved and maybe some of the motive that may be behind it, they're going to be able to tap into a lot of databases and information, their intelligence, to track down who is responsible for this.
Yeah, Chris, that's what's going on right now. Of course, the search for a suspect or suspects. And we also don't know if this was in any way related to the church. Nobody inside the church was hurt. We don't know if there were people outside the church that may have been a part of it or got caught in some of this gunfire. You've been in law enforcement a long time, and I've known you for a long time. These are tough.
Mark, I lost you for a second.
Oh, I was just going to say, you've been in law enforcement a long time, and these are tough things that happen when it happens like this. I remember Trolley Square, and when I saw the big police presence out there, I was hoping that it wasn't something like that. But still, 8 victims, 2 dead, 3 critical, 3 unknown.
Right. And, and that's, I mean, my heart goes out to the families of those people. This is a funeral and, it's supposed to be, a sacred time. We're honoring somebody. Not only that, it's at a church. And we always look at those places as being somewhere that is sacred to us. So I think culturally, this is going to have a great impact on us. And I think that law enforcement recognizes that, and they're going to get out there and do their job tonight.
Chris, how do officers determine the perimeter that they set up when they are investigating?
Initially, you're going to take that scene where you've got, the victims. We're going to expand that out as information comes in. We want to make sure that, again, and I say this often, we get a first time first. And so make it as big as you need to. Sometimes you will establish it, and then we find out that the subjects maybe ran out into the neighborhood, and that will either expand it or create additional crime scenes. But they need to take care of that tonight. That's the first time first, and we want to catch everything, that's potentially of evidential value to help in this case.
Hey, Chris, I was thinking about the drone that the Salt Lake City Police has flying over the crime scene. With the new technology and the better drone technology, we see a lot more drones at crime scenes, at crashes. It gives you a better look at what's going on down on the streets, right?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that when you look at a crime scene, we're looking at from, maybe standing on the ground. We want to get down low. We want to get up high. Years ago, we'd use sometimes the helicopter or get fire apparatus out there so we could photograph it. Drones have made that so much easier. You can move around the area. We can expand out in the area. The camera systems on the drones are incredible. And so it gives you, again, one significant tool in crime scene and management that we didn't have years ago. We had to do it literally manually, climb up on a ladder and take pictures. This gives us the ability to not only look at that scene, but to expand it out to what may be important at the crime scene and document it and make sure we don't miss it.
And can you talk a little bit about a timeline for gathering information? To me, and maybe to others who are watching this evening, they would think, oh, they might be out all night with this. What are your thoughts?
Absolutely. Nobody will be going home until they've got the subjects that are wanted in this or maybe connected to this in custody. There were many times, 24, 36 hours before, we took a break and went home. And as you start, especially from a command perspective, you start to think about that, meaning I'm going to send people home early because they're going to come out in the morning and take the place. And so it becomes one of those situations where we want to get the people in custody as quickly as possible. They're moving, we're moving. They're probably in a little chaotic scene where they're trying to get away. We want to take advantage of that. And when you can pour the proper resources into that, Salt Lake City has that ability. They can ask help of the Unified Police and the sheriffs in West Valley, state police.
Of the parking lot where they are looking, where they are trying to gather evidence, and towards the front of the meeting house is where we're seeing people slowly trickle out in groups from that meeting house. We're told that there were maybe more than 100, maybe even 200 people that were still inside the meeting house, that when the shooting happened, they were told to shelter in place, and police have been processing inside as well. That is not where the shots happened, but that is where there were so many witnesses. There is someone who was having a funeral here, and they are slowly being let out through the front of the building. You guys, I'm going to, if we have a moment, Deanie, I might send it back to you because I'm going to try to see if I can get to the front of the meeting house again and see if we can wait for the next group of people that were, coming to this funeral, really see if we can get you guys a little bit more information.
Why don't you talk to me as you're walking?
Right now?
Yeah, why don't you talk to me? Talk and walk, because you should. Yeah.
All right, Jay. So we're going to talk and walk.
As you showed us this earlier tonight, these people had been at the funeral service inside the church, and they were having them come out in groups. And that Mr. Fiafia that you spoke to earlier was one of the first groups. A while after that, you showed us another one, and then people had been trickling out. And I would imagine this has been a traumatic evening for them for multiple reasons at this point.
Just difficult. This is affecting the Polynesian community in particular. This was several Polynesian people were here for this funeral, and the families that we have spoken to that are telling us that they have lost a loved one are Polynesian. This is a very tight, close-knit community, very focused on family, and I think for anyone this would be just so difficult to experience, and we're seeing it happening here in real time. Terrifying situation, because this area as well, I mean, it's not just a funeral where there's lots of people. There are apartments all around here, and we're within a rock's throw of each other, and I'm assuming that is why police wanted to get here so quickly, to be able to prevent a mass casualty event from happening. We have that confirmation that, Deanie, 2 people have lost their lives, 3 people are in critical condition, and we are set up. Jason is doing his best to get us a shot of the front of the meeting house again, to give you guys just the latest look inside there. Deanie, I don't know if you can see it. I'm only standing behind him, but I don't know what you can see.
No, we can see that police are there, and they seem to be, those are officers coming out, but there seem to be still people inside. As we said, they've been letting groups of people come out a little bit at a time. And you had mentioned, or your witness had mentioned, that they'd been in there for more than 2 hours. This happened quite a while ago, and so this is, they've been inside as this investigation goes on.
That's right, Deanie. He said that they were, what is it? We're about an hour ago that we spoke with him. He said that they had been in there for 2 hours, and he said, it was the end of the funeral. Everyone was wrapping up, and we start to hear all of this gunshot. Gunshots outside. Everybody quickly starts moving in, told to shelter in place. They are being kept in what they call the cultural hall, the gym, the center of the meeting house of this church, waiting. Police came in very quickly and just kind of started to contain the situation, knowing now what we know, that 2 people were shot in the parking lot in the back part of this meeting house. And yes, as Jason is showing us, you see people slowly trickling out. We've been back there for a while, so I don't know if there's been a group of more people that have been released, but at last report, that group that came out was 40 people, and he thought, maybe there could be up to another 200 people that are inside there. And we are seeing through this glass, through the windows, that there are still people inside, and understandably, everyone's dressed in black because they were here for a funeral. They were here for what was supposed to be a quiet, a somber moment of remembrance and honoring someone's life.
Garner, when you talked to those witnesses that managed the apartment complex, they mentioned that within the time it took for them to hear something and get outside, that there were police already on the scene. Do you know, were there police there on the scene to begin with anyway, or was this just because they might have been in the area and had heard that something was going down?
You know what? That's a really good question, Deanie. My understanding is that they just arrived very quickly. I see Kenna, one of those neighbors that we spoke to, and I can bring her into the scene, and we can kind of discuss some of those questions with her if that works for you guys. Kenna, can I borrow you really quick, you guys? Jason, we're gonna bring Kenna and Brennan into this scene here, and you guys, we had a follow-up question for you. Did you? When you heard these gunshots, there wasn't already a police presence here. Did police arrive after the gunshots?
Yes.
Do you know?
Yeah, it all happened after the gunshots went off. We were just, like I said, watching TV earlier, and I had noticed the sounds of what would be fireworks, but it's all past the holiday season. So easy to think, this neighborhood, this area, anything could happen. It could be gunshots. So I immediately got up, opened the door, heard screaming. That's when I took everything that I had and came running over here.
Yeah, and then how many gunshots did you guys hear?
I heard before that, I think it was around like 4 or 5, and then we turned on our camera, and then I heard maybe 3 more. And then we were like, hey, that's gunshots, that's not the fireworks. And then opening the door, hearing the screaming and crying and the wailing confirmed.
Yeah, from what I heard and from everything that's been talked about here, I've totaled it up to around 15 shots that went off.
So just a lot, and in very quick order. It sounds like you heard the first couple, and then it was very quick soon after you heard it.
It was like boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was fast. Someone said it was like ricocheting off the metal fence. I mean, and it was. They said it was in the back. I mean, it was wild. So it's scary to hear for sure.
And you guys, you also mentioned that there was a car that you heard maybe leaving very, very quickly soon after those gunshots.
Yeah, so there's a tenant, and they said that they heard the gunshots, and they live just right here at the bottom. And so they said right after the gunshots, they were looking around, and they didn't see, but they heard a car just kind of rev and fly out of here. They said they don't know where it went, they didn't see it, but they definitely heard it right after the shots. I mean, they said it was enough time for them to stop and get in a car and go. So.
Very, very quickly. Very difficult night. Thank you guys for taking the time to come back and answer a few more questions. We appreciate it. Deanie, you know, with one thing that is that I will note is that when we come out to these, you know, really difficult scenes, there's a certain I don't know how to describe it, but a certain feeling, you know, and officers could be very tense. They could be very, you know, when it's very active and they're trying to get a control and a real pulse on the situation, you will sense that. Right now, I am starting to feel as though that tension is starting to ease a little bit, and I have to wonder if they're starting to get a better idea of where to look, and of course, you know, this scene here contained, ready to be processed, ready to get some evidence.
All right.
Deanie?
Yeah, Garna, thank you for staying with us. I know you want to get out and work and try to find out more information. So we'll move on over to Debbie Worthen to see if she's got any new information. Thank you, and keep up the good effort to get us information. Debbie, any more on the police report, police information and the investigation at this point? They had been looking for suspects. They didn't specify whether this was gang related, although they indicated in some way that might be a possibility.
Yeah, they did mention that it was targeted, so they don't anticipate that people are in danger, that it was not a random situation, that it was a fight that broke out. I'll step out of the scene so you can get a closer look here. Again, we are at the corner of 700 North and Redwood Road, and I think I said 500 North earlier. That's where we started out initially tonight. So we're 700 North Redwood Road. Media has now been all pushed a little bit farther to the north. We were across the street earlier, just really right where that crime tape is. That's where many of the police officers and law enforcement officers are gathered. They're getting briefed as well. They will come from time to time into that Mountain America Credit Union parking lot, which is where they had our initial media staging area set up. And then they moved us so they can just take care of their business there. We just talked to a woman who was trying to get back into the area, and she said she's been gone. She just ran to the store. She didn't know what happened. Her granddaughter's there, feels frantic. She's safe, but she now is hearing the news that she can't get back to where she lives, at least until police have a better handle on exactly what's going on here. But again, Deanie, we believe 5 minutes away from another update from Glenn Mills with Salt Lake City Police Department. He will tell us where things stand. As he mentioned about an hour ago, things were still very fluid. This is a big scene. They have drones out. They have people searching and trying to get to the bottom of exactly what happened tonight. At last update, we had 2 people that were confirmed dead, several others in critical condition at the hospital. So I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, Debbie, and while we're waiting, let's just recap a little bit more about what happened and what we know at this point, because we'll have a chance to hopefully get some clarification and move this forward in just a few minutes. But for those who are just joining in this evening, this was a funeral that was underway. And at the funeral, mourners heard gunfire going on outside. This has been about an hour and a half ago or so. They have confirmed, as Debbie said, that 8 people were shot, 2 people killed, 6 injured. Debbie, tell us the latest on the police investigation, at least as Glenn Mills described it to you. Oh, okay, she's no longer with us, but what they had described it to us is that they were talking to witnesses, that people were giving them tips. They didn't want to give us too much information about whether it was a suspect or multiple suspects, but that they were getting more information about who they might be looking for, and that they were also looking into the fact that this might be gang related. The importance of that is that they did not perceive that there was a remaining public threat or a danger to neighbors and people in this area, that it was a targeted situation. We heard from witnesses who described what sounded like a fight going on in the parking lot of the funeral, and then a car racing away after they heard multiple gunshots in a couple of waves. Let's go back down to Garna Mejia. Garna, we're expecting an update any minute, so if we get that, we'll break off. But in the meantime, describe what else you have learned and what you've gathered talking to these witnesses.
Certainly, Deanie. I did just receive a text message from a family member who has told us, who was here this evening, rushed over after learning that a family member had been shot. And this is what she is saying. She's saying, we're breaking off to split up to find our brothers that are in critical condition. They're trying to figure out which hospital everyone ended up going to. We're hearing from different sources that maybe they ended up at different hospitals. So that's why, they're splitting off. She says to find our brothers that are in critical condition. 2 passed, 1 was family, and then in exclamation points, I'm looking for my brother. She says, as of this point, we're still waiting to find out the status of the other 3, hitting all hospitals until we find them. Just I can't imagine what these families are going through, trying to get an update, a status update on their loved one. We have this family in particular that believes that one of those that were killed, one of the 2 people killed, is a family member. They're describing them as a brother. And so, that is what we have here. We did just see another small group trickle out of the meeting house. We do see a few more people in there. And what is happening right now is that slowly in groups, they are being released from the meeting house, from the church. The people that had come to the funeral, the shooting taking place in the back of the church, in the parking lot. But those that were inside during the end of that funeral, were told to shelter in place as police contained this scene. And right now, quite frankly, as they try to understand who caused this, who the shooter was. We're seeing several people, I'm assuming elderly people, but being taken out in wheelchairs, carried down those stairs, and wheeled out through the front of the church.
Yeah, Garna,
here.
Go ahead.
Yes, I'm listening, Deanie.
That just what you said a second ago, your heart goes out to people at this funeral. They were already there mourning the death of a loved one, and it's hard to imagine the feelings, the emotions that they are feeling now, coming out and knowing that likely someone they know, or perhaps someone that they are related to, has passed tonight. Just such a tragic situation all the way around.
Yeah. That young man that we spoke to at the very beginning, he was just in shock, and I think, in tears, just thinking, here we are for our loved one, and then now, we may have to be here again because, 2 people killed, 3 in critical condition. What appears to be just a very senseless act of violence. That's what this is. You guys, and I'm just keeping an eye out, Deanie. I think Jason is kind of giving you guys a shot, but I'm just looking at the front of that meeting house and seeing more officers now. So I'm wondering if maybe we've seen the last of, we're getting towards the end of those that are being held inside, those mourners that are being slowly released, trickling out. In the back of the meeting house, a crime scene that is going to be processed. Detectives are going to be looking for bullet casings. We're hearing, some people say it sounded like a lot of fireworks going off, and then quickly realizing these were not fireworks. New Year's is over. These are gunshots. Some saying they sounded like ricocheting against metal, and so we know that whole parking lot area is going to be That whole parking lot area is going to be meticulously processed. Lots of cars back there, and I don't think those cars are not leaving tonight. And I know that
No one wants to have to report on.
No, this is awful. I mean, when you first hear about it, it comes over scanners. You find out a number of people have been shot. When you first hear about it, it comes over scanners. You find out a number of people have been shot and killed in this. I mean, your heart sinks. Sinks, Deanie, right? You hear something like this. And I know Garna's over there. This is just to kind of let you know where I'm at. It's 700 North Redwood Road. I'm at this intersection. This is where they push the media, okay? Originally, when I got in here maybe about 30 minutes ago, I was able to go about a half a block up there. But since then, like they typically do in situations like this, block up there, but since then, like they typically do in situations like this, Garna was talking about, you know, as they're doing the investigation, look at shell casings and all that thing. A lot of times they end
Are you there, Mike? Okay, let's go. Let's
yeah,
go back
I'm
to.
here. I'm sorry.
Let's go back to Garna.
I thought it was clear.
And that was that was the situation, that there was not an outstanding danger to people, that neighbors in the area are not under any kind of lockdown situation. They are not able to get into the area because of the police presence and because of the area is cut off, but it's not because of danger. Let's go to Garna now.
Well, and you guys, as Mike was showing you guys from his vantage point, this street, I mean, even if you wanted to drive through here, there's just cops everywhere across Redwood Road. So it is very hard, impossible to get through right now, and understandably so, as they are working this scene. You've got pockets of officers in different areas. You've got the ambulance. There is still an ambulance here, and we are just seeing people trickling out of the meeting house. The last group, I'm thinking we're getting towards the end of this group that has been asked to shelter in place as officers process the scene. What I am being told is that as people are being released and allowed to come out of the meeting house, they are allowed to start heading home. Many of them, if your vehicle is back in that back parking area, that is where the shooting happened. You are not very likely going to be able to get your car out in the next little bit. But they are being released. They are walking north. I'm guessing this is north, you guys. I'm so disoriented. Forgive me. North in that direction. The first group that came out, a group of about 40 to 50, walked in southbound direction. I think now they are being escorted in the northbound direction. And I am going to try to sneak over there and see if I can give you guys a vantage point from that direction in a little bit. But what we are seeing here is they are maintaining this very secured. This is the crime scene. This is where 2 people were shot and killed, 3 in critical condition. The hearse is still behind the meeting house as police process the scene. And it was near that hearse where we believe that this shooting occurred. That is the area that is taped off. That is where we are starting to see markers placed. That is where, signs of trauma can be seen. We believe that those that need medical attention, that need to go to the hospital, have been taken to the hospital. And hearing from family members, that are just heartbroken, saying, we need to find our brothers that are in critical condition. 2 passed, 1 was family. I'm looking for my brother. Just a very difficult and traumatic moment for several members of this community this evening. And Deanie, I'm going to stop talking because I talk a lot, but I'm going to send it back to you, and then I'm going to try to see if I can walk over and get you a little bit more info.
Yeah, no, this is very helpful, and we realize that you're asked to say a lot, and while you're trying to also work and get information. So feel free to go do what you need to do to get us some more information. And as we are waiting for an update from the police department, this is what we know at this point. We've had Chopper 5 out there tonight, and you can see for a stretch of a mile long, police cars lining the street out in front of an Latter-day Saint meeting house. There's the scene. This was on 615 North, roughly, and Redwood Road. There was a funeral going on tonight, and as people were inside wrapping up the funeral, they heard gunshots. Police have confirmed 6 people were injured, 8 people total shot, 2 people killed. Police they responded en masse, as you would imagine, and this was a volatile and a fluid situation for quite a while. They at last point said that they are getting a lot of tips so that they can better understand who they are looking for. They didn't give us a lot of information about the suspects.
What?
But let's go now to new specialist Debbie Morgan. Debbie, you've moved to the new media staging area. Have they given you any indication of when this update's coming?
I mean, we really thought 9:30. We've now passed that time, so we anticipate any minute. So this is looking to the south. That's what you're seeing. This is 700 North and Redwood Road. So everything is to the south of where we are. And Glenn Mills with Salt Lake City Police is who we are waiting for. And he will give us an update on exactly what's happened. At last check, as you mentioned, Deanie, he was telling us we had those 2 confirmed dead, 3 in critical, 3 in an unknown condition, and but still a lot happening. In fact, we just had a woman cross the street. I said, "Oh, do you live in that area?" She's like, "No, I don't." And they're really just still trying to figure out what's going on in there. So, and that's really what we're seeing. And as Garna is getting these firsthand accounts of what actually unfolded there in that church parking lot, I'm sure that a lot of that information is being relayed over to police as they're trying to piece together exactly what happened in the last couple of hours as they try to actively search for a suspect or suspects in this case, as they're trying to determine who's responsible, conditions of victims, who may be in danger at this point, and what happens next out here. So, Deanie, I'll pass it back over to you. We are about to head back across the street. We have we're covering this from every angle for you. We have Mike Hedrick here. We have Garna over at near the church. We are just going to get a little bit in a different position so we can make sure that everything is covered and we don't miss anything as this unfolds minute by minute out here on Redwood Road and 700 North. I'll send it back to you.
Yeah, we appreciate that, and we will keep broadcasting this live as you learn more information and as we head into our 10 o'clock newscast. But let's go back down right now to Garna Mejia. Garna, early on in the evening, and this has been going on now for quite a while, you were able to talk to some witnesses. Yes. They helped paint the situation. They helped kind of clarify and add some detail to how this all played out. Share some of that with us.
Deanie, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Do I need to walk back
to
the camera? You can hear me okay, Deanie? Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm hoping, Jason probably doesn't know where I'm at because I just wandered off, but I am on the north side of the meeting house where we see a large gathering of people.
Please stay over there. Are you with the media?
Yes. Should I go back to my spot? Well, my photog is this way. I'm so sorry, you guys. I'm going to toss it back so I can make sure I'm not going to get myself
deal with
in trouble.
the police location. They've got logistics questions, and it's hard to know on a scene like this because the boundaries change. You get separated from your photographer, you talk to people, and then, so she's dealing with that right now. But you could see from that last helicopter picture, this is an area that's almost a mile, looks like a mile long, several blocks. And earlier, as Garner was out there, she was talking to witnesses. One was someone who had been inside the funeral, mourning the death of a beloved member of the community. And another was from some people who live near the church. They manage some apartment complexes. And we'll let you hear some of their comments.
After this whole situation, even at a funeral, it's just a little bit more sad to see even more gone.
We have a tenant over here that said after all the gunshots happened, they heard a car fly. I mean, just fly so fast down some road. We let the police know as well. Another guy said he was biking all the way down here in this complex, and he turned the corner, heard them fighting, heard the shots go off, and turned the other way and started booking it. And he said it was like ricocheting off metal. He could hear the shots hitting metal. And then later came back and said, I remember I saw a guy come and he was running to like some top